Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Luisa and I'm an alumnus from Wageningen University, and I currently work at the International Students Recruitment Team. Today I will be your host and we will be answering questions about what are the last steps you need to follow to complete your application, and then what do you have to do next for completing your enrollment. This will be a live Q&A. So please don't forget to send your questions in the chat box that you see on YouTube, and we will try to answer them all during this event. Today we're here from our new studio, and I'm here with Lidevij. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Lidevij, and I'm in second year bachelor's here at Wageningen University. 2 years ago I moved from South Africa to the Netherlands, and ever since I've been enjoying my time here in Wageningen. And yeah, I think I still remember the enrollment process quite good. So hopefully I will be able to help you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and of course for helping our viewers with their questions. We're going to start with a presentation. And the first part of the presentation, I would like to ask you a question for all of our viewers. So if you can see now on our screen, we have a question for you. Can you please answer from where you're watching us? If you can just type your answer in the chat, we can get back to the answers in a moment. And we would like to go to our first topic. And the first topic we would like to address today is what are the admission requirements? So don't forget that this is a live Q&A. So if you have questions about this topic or application deadlines or any other topics related to enrollment, please send them in the chat box. So the first thing we're going to talk about are admission requirements. So of course this is a Q&A that is both for bachelors and masters. So we're going to talk about both requirements. So for a bachelor program, I mean, if you want to start a bachelor program, you need to have a secondary school diploma or a pre-university diploma that is equivalent to the Dutch pre-university diploma. And you have to have studied certain subjects, like maybe we can go through them and you can tell us how your experience was, and we can also check if we already have questions about it. And you need to also have a very important requirement is that you meet the English language proficiency requirements. And that's both for bachelors and masters. But for masters, the difference is that you need to have a bachelor degree that is relevant to the topic that you want to study, to the masters that you want to study. And you need to have a GPA of minimum 70% of the maximum grade you can get at university. So maybe we have some questions already, Lidevij, for this?
Yes, we also, a lot of people is from Greece, Croatia, Romania, quite a few from Germany, Belgium, that's quite close by.
Yeah, nice.
Indonesia, that's a bit farther away, Italy, Spain, so yeah, also someone from the US. Really great, everyone is joining us from all over. But yes, we actually already all have a question. Do I have to follow the same procedure in order to apply for second master's in Wageningen?
Yeah, so like I don't know, maybe you can write your question a little bit more clear. Like you mean like you want to apply for 2 master's programs or something? Because I think when you send your application via StudyLink, you can put already 2 master programs, and then when you receive the link for the university portal, then you have to upload all the documents that we will talk about in a moment, and then they will both be evaluated for both programs. The thing is, like, you have to write a letter, like what it's actually an optional letter of motivation in which you can explain why you want to study one of these 2 programs, and I think it's the same document. So it is the same procedure, it's just the same application. I don't know if you know anything about this, but you actually applied for a bachelor program, so that was a different situation for you.
But for example, let's say you studied your master's here, I don't know, for example, you studied plant sciences and now you want to do a second master, also at Wageningen. Is it in the same procedure?
Yeah, that is a question I don't know the answer. Like if you already did your master's in Wageningen, that is a different thing. I think for that I would suggest to contact the Student Service Center, but I'm not sure if that's what our viewer was asking. Maybe they can explain to us better.
Yes, I don't have any update from this yet.
Okay, so maybe we can go to our next slide. And in the next slide, what I wanted to show you was what are the required subjects for the bachelor programs. So I was saying that one of the requirements is that you had to study these subjects at the required level, which is normally like the higher level that you can study in your high school. So you can see it in the screen. For animal sciences is mathematics and chemistry. Like most of the programs actually you have to have studied mathematics. But depending on the focus of the program, also physics and chemistry or biology, but it's a very general requirement. And well, this is another topic that I will go back to in a moment, but I would like to ask our viewers to please send questions about admission requirements if you still have them, because now we're going to start talking about a very important topic, that is the application deadlines. But do we have any questions about this?
We actually have a follow-up. From what I understand, is already this person from asking about the second master's has already been accepted to food technology, but wants to apply for food quality management. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you already applied for your master's in food technology, or are you already doing your master's in food technology and you want to do a second master, or do you want to change, or
I think what he means is that he already applied for food technology, but he also wants to apply for food. What was the other program?
Food quality management, because he has been accepted for food technology.
Yeah, so I think if you want to also apply for the other program, I guess you're gonna have to create another application, because usually when you are going to apply, you can put two programs, but since you already sent an application and you already were admitted to food technology, I guess you need to create a new application for the food quality management program. But I'm not sure about this, so maybe you can contact the Student Service Center. The Student Service Center email address is ssc@wur.nl. So Liedewij will also type it in there. At WUR.nl.
Yes, and it's also there. We have quite some questions actually.
About admission requirements, or?
Yes,
okay, perfect.
yes. There's a bit also about housing, but maybe we can first stick to the admission.
Let's go for admission and then we will go through the rest of the questions.
Okay.
We have plenty of time.
The first one was from Italy. What does the 70% GPA correspond to in Italy? And I remember I had a bit of the same problem when I came from South Africa, because it doesn't really, the GPA is a bit different. But I think the best is there is a link, but you maybe know that better than me. There's a link where you can see that.
Yeah, there is a document where you can see like what are the equivalences, like, and then there is a list of all the countries. So you can check for Italy what is the minimum, or because I guess it's a different type of grade that you receive, then you can see like what would be the number that you need to be admitted. I'm not sure where this document is, but I think it is in just the admission requirements and when they ask you for your bachelor program. But are you planning on is the person asking the question applying for a bachelor's or for a master's?
Didn't say.
For a master's, I guess, because it's for a 70% GPA, and that's for masters. So yeah, you can check that on our website, and if you put on Google how to apply for a master's at WUR, then you will get like a website that it will tell you all the information, and then you get a link. But if not, you can also send an email to the email address study@wur.nl.
Yeah, also type that in.
Yeah, she'll type that in. And you said we have more questions, right?
Yes, we do. Karsten, you also asked about tests that need to be done in Utrecht. I'm not sure what tests you meant. Do you mean like English proficiency tests, or do you mean like pre-university tests? But because usually sometimes you can do it online, and then the examination can be done, have to be in person, but sometimes there's also other options for it, but I'm not sure which tests you're referring to. Maybe you can just give an update on that as well.
Yeah, if you can let us know, because it can be like that test that you did for your, how do you call, like for matching or something?
Yeah, and actually what happened is the standards where I come from is a bit different than here, so I needed to do a chemistry test to show my proficiency in chemistry. And then I actually followed a course in Utrecht, but I know it was also available online, but then I was already in the Netherlands, so I did it in Utrecht. Yeah. But then I followed a course online, and then I also did the test in Utrecht, but that was through a different company. It was not through the university. However, the university referred me to it. So when you apply, then they will refer you to which company or where you can do the test, and then you can take up contact with them as well.
Yeah, so maybe you can specify in your question, like in the chat box, if you mean like for English
yes.
or is it English?
Sorry, chemistry and physics. So
yes.
I think that's exactly what I did. I needed to do the chemistry test, and then I did it through Boswell Beta, I think the company was called.
Yeah, it's also on the website if you check that.
Yeah. Yes, it's also one of the. But anyway, then when you apply, they will just refer you to two options.
Yeah. That is also like if you also type like how to apply for a bachelor's program, then you will also see the requirements for that, and then the options where you can take your exams. What else do we have from our viewers? Do we have something else for application deadlines, or I mean admission requirements, or should we talk about deadlines already?
Yes, maybe this is also nice to mention. For master's application, in order to meet the application deadline, can I submit my application with my current transcript before I get my graduation diploma?
Yeah, that's what we were talking actually just before the webinar. So you can actually, you don't need to have all the requirements ready as long as you submit the application before the deadline. So that may be something that I should put now in the presentation. Like I will show you the application deadlines because that's a very important topic now. So for bachelor programs, you still have until the 1st of July if you come from the Netherlands or from a European Union country. If you want to apply for a master's, it's the 15th of June. So that's next Thursday already. I mean, from next week. So you still have like around a week, and if you don't have all the documents ready, let's say that you don't have your English exam, or you already did it but you don't have the document, then you can like, I think you could still upload like a dummy of something, you know, like
your previous certificates.
Yes,
that you
something
got.
As long as it's before the 15th of June or before the 1st of July, because you had something similar, right?
Yes, I also someone else actually, I think. But anyways, yes, so then you just send in what you already have, and then you still wait for your final examination results, and then you can send that in.
Exactly, because some high schools also have their deadlines after our not the deadlines, but the results, they give them after our deadline for Wageningen, so you can actually send them afterwards. But the thing is that for the English exams, for instance, I know that TOEFL and IELTS take a really long time in also giving the results. So you can just send your application without, and then they can give you conditional admission. Or you can also ask the Student Service Center if it's okay to send it afterwards, but it is okay to send it afterwards. So like we were saying before, don't forget that it's ssc@wur.nl. So yeah, maybe some more questions?
Yes, there was also, just again about the English, it's the same than the website that we just mentioned. If you don't know if your English is proficient, just go and check on the website. Otherwise, again, send an email to the SSC, because then they can look at your case specifically, because then you can also send your grades up. And then they can look at your case individually and then give an answer what will be best for you.
Yeah, that's a good advice.
Yes, then we also have from Francesca, just asking, when will I receive an answer to my application for Masters if I upload my documents on Osiris at the end of June?
Okay, so that's a very good question actually for our next slide. So we're going to put it now on the screen, and we're going to go through the process of application. So when you apply, the admissions office will assess your admissibility, and what you need to do is you need to apply via StudyLink. And StudyLink is like the platform that all universities in the Netherlands use for applications. So for that, you need to create a DigiD. Is it DigiD or DigiID? Well,
yeah, no idea.
Yes,
DigiD.
Well, DigiD. You have to create a login, and you need to have your passport for that. And then you can get a name and a password that you can use for logging into StudyLink, and then you have to select Wageningen and just send your application, and then there you're going to say that you want to apply, I don't know, for food technology or biology or any of the programs that you want to apply for, and then you will get an email from Wageningen where they will give you access to the application portal, and that's where you need to upload the documents. And the documents that you need, maybe you can give us a reminder of what you needed for your bachelor program, like.
Yes, my bachelor program. So I think that the basic things that you think of as well, you need your prior education. So whether that was high school or a previous bachelor's that you did, you need your transcript from that. And then, like we said, or just the most recent. And if you're still waiting, then you also just give what you have. If needed, English proficiency. There was a couple of countries that's exempt from giving a English proficiency, but you can also just look that up on the website, so your English. Then there was also, I think, because to make the account you already need to give up your passport or ID or however, so I don't think that was necessary again, so I actually think that was
all,
yeah,
I think.
that was everything.
Yeah. So just to go over it, you need to have your diploma from your high school or your pre-university diploma or maybe another bachelor that you did. You need to have your transcripts, you need to have your English proficiency exam, and actually that's it for the masters, for the bachelor programs. And for the master's programs, you also need your diploma from your previous bachelor. You need the transcript of records, as we said, like you need to have a GPA of minimum 70%. And very importantly, you need your CV, and that is something that the admission board will evaluate, and also an optional motivation letter. So that is if you have, like, I don't know, maybe there is a gap in your studies, if you don't meet completely the requirements, or maybe there is like a mismatch between the degree that you did before and the master's that you want to do, you can explain that in your motivation letter, like I have these years of experience, I did this internship, or I applied for 2 programs and I'm very excited about this or that. So it's just to make it more specific, and that is an optional letter. I mean, that is only if you want to do it. And then after you have sent all of the documents, then the admission board has around 8 weeks to answer. That doesn't mean that it's going to take 8 weeks, but it can take up to 8 weeks. And since we're very close to the deadline, it probably will take a long time. So I think if you send it at the end of June, you might receive it like in a month after, but it could also be 2 months because it's 8 weeks. So, but don't worry, because you will receive your answer in time. But that's why it's very important that you send your application before the deadline. And I would like to show you something in the presentation, like a last thing, because we have been mentioning a lot of email addresses, but just to have it clear, the Student Service Center is ssc@wur.nl. The Student Information Office is study@wur.nl, so you can ask all of your questions there about deadlines, about admission requirements, about contact from a professor, study advisors, whatever you want to ask. And of course, you can visit our website. So yeah, now we can go again through the questions.
Yes, you also now mentioned a statement explaining if there's a gap in your studies.
Yeah.
Claudia asked, is a personal statement important for admission? So I'm not sure if you have more, because a personal statement, like what Louisa just said, if there's a gap in your studies, then you will maybe need one.
Yeah, it's a very good question, because the thing is, before it was mandatory to have a motivation letter or personal statement, but now it's an optional. So as long as you meet the requirements, which are the English proficiency requirements, that your bachelor is relevant and that you have a GPA of 70%, it should be okay. But it always makes an application stronger if you can give like a little bit more personal details. I mean, not personal details, but I mean, talk a little bit more about your case and your experience. Yeah. I don't know if it has like a percentage of how much it weighs to have it, because as it's optional, it probably is just in case that there is something missing. But I think if you want to increase your chances, just write your motivation letter. Yeah. Yeah.
Because is there, I don't know, for bachelors, I don't think so, but for masters, is there any numerous fixes?
No.
Yes,
the programs don't have any numerous fixes. That is a very good point. Like, actually, we don't have that in our program, so as long as you meet the requirements, you will be admitted. But it's very important just that you do it before the deadline, and that you have your CV. That is a very important thing. Like, that is a mandatory requirement, the CV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Federica, just in between, you asked because you don't have your full degree, you don't have the papers yet, but you will have it in July. Yes, apply with what you have, apply with your previous papers, and just apply, and then you will be fine. Because then the admittance committee already, they start a case for you. So then when you have your degree, you can just send the papers up, and then it makes the whole process it just flows quite easily then.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that.
Exactly.
We actually have a question from Hilde. She says that she sent a master's application already quite a while ago, 9 weeks ago.
Oh.
But she's still waiting for a response.
Well, that is a very, very rare case. I think in that case you do need to send an email to the Student Service Center, because of course we don't have any information about applications. So if you write to ssc@wur.nl, I think maybe, Lidva, you can type it again just to...
Yeah, she actually said she did email the SSC, but she also don't have a reply yet. But maybe check the email address, otherwise it's also a really busy time.
It is a really busy time because, I mean, the deadline is next week on Thursday. So people are just receiving applications at every moment. So probably they're just going through the cases step by step, but still, send another email to the SSC. You can also send an email to study@wur.nl, but I mean, they actually don't know either about your case, but maybe you can CC them, I don't know, like just to increase your chances for an answer. But yeah, send another reminder, or maybe check your spam. I don't know, it could have gone to another folder in your email. I don't know, but that's a bit strange. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, Anastasia is also asking, tell me if I'm wrong, but if I'm interpreting your question correctly, that she's asking about a fixed GPA. I would say if you don't completely meet it yet, just send in an application anyways. If you are very far off, then your chances might be quite slim. However, there still might be, let's say for example, like I had to do chemistry. If your chemistry grade is low and you have to redo it, and then you get a higher chemistry grade, and your GPA also goes up. So just apply and hear what they say, because then maybe you can do, for example, take an additional course, or it doesn't differ too much or whatever. So just apply, and again, they will look at your individual case.
Exactly, and I mean, you know, applying is just, I mean, it's not like it's super easy. You have to upload, of course, all the documents, but it's free of costs, and it's just putting your documents in the platform, and then they will check your case, and then you will have an answer. Like, that's the only way to know. But also there are options, like for instance, doing courses like Lidva was saying. For masters, there is also the option to do pre-masters in case you also have a gap in your studies or in your knowledge that you need to fill. Then you can do like a 1-year program before your masters, in which you take all of those courses that you need for the masters that you're interested in studying. But of course, that is all in consultation with your study advisor. But still, like if you send your application, then that should be like okay.
Yes, okay.
And do we have more questions?
Yes, we also have questions again about Carlo from the GPA. The GPA is just your average grade that you have received from your previous education. Exactly. So everything counts together divided by the average.
The number of things that you studied. Yeah, I mean, you can ask for that probably to your university, but that also you can just do it yourself. Like I didn't get it, for instance. I am from Colombia, and we didn't get like a GPA actually, so you just had to get an average of your mark and send it to Wageningen, and you send your application, and if you send your transcript of records, then all the marks should be there.
We also got a question saying, if I need an answer before August in order to get a room, is it better to send my application in incomplete? Meaning that I still need to retake 3 exams beforehand.
That's because of the... Why do you need to send the application?
I got it in regards of housing.
Oh, well...
Yeah, that is a tricky one.
Yeah, that is a tricky one. I think, I mean, in general, you need to send the application for sure before the 15th. I don't know if you're going to apply for a bachelor or a master's, but before the 15th of June or before the 1st of July. And regarding housing, I mean, the thing is, if you already have an admission letter, or if you know that you're coming to Wageningen, you need to register to room.nl. And that is because the longer that you have been in the system, the higher the chances for you to find a room before coming to Wageningen. So I think you can register already to room.nl, but you have to pay a fee of, I don't know, do you remember, 35 euros?
Yeah, 35 euros.
And that's for 8 years, 10 years, something like that.
10 years, yeah.
10 years. So you pay that, and then you can get like the access to see all the offers in the rooms, but I think it is good if you just apply before the deadline. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Laura is asking, I've applied to the Bachelor Soil, Water and Atmosphere to be definitely admitted. Do I need to have marks above? No, again, if you meet admissions requirements, for example, if this is a 7 for maths, physics and chemistry, all you need to have is a 7. You don't necessarily, it's not if you have an 8.5 that your chances are higher. It's not like they only admit 30 students, for example. So if you meet requirements, then you probably will be admitted.
Yeah, so for bachelors it's different because they don't ask you for a GPA, like you don't have to have a number or a grade, but you have to have studied those subjects. So for instance, for soil, water and atmosphere, maybe we can go back to our presentation. For soil, water and atmosphere, you need to have studied mathematics, physics and chemistry. What I don't know is actually to what level, like, I mean, how do you know how they can check what your level is? Like, does your high school say, like, you studied at a medium level, a high level, standard level?
Yeah, actually for me, but maybe it changed. But for me, actually, they did look at my GPA as well.
Okay, okay.
So, and because high school, or where I come from, we also had like average GPA, and I think everyone else also maybe does.
It depends on the school, on the country, but yeah, I think as long as you meet the requirements, as Levi said, you're supposed to be admitted, but of course you actually also need to have the English requirement, and that is for bachelors. I'm not sure about the score at this moment, but I kind of have the feeling that is for TOEFL like something like 90 or 80 something, and for IELTS is 6.5 for speaking and for listening. So you need to check that in the website. That's also very specific. And for master's programs, there are some differences with the English language requirement, because we have masters that are level 1 and level 2. So level 2 require a little bit more advanced English because the topics are a bit more complex, or the language is a bit more complex. So you need higher scores, but you can check that on the website. It's also specified there.
Yes, okay. Santi is saying that she also needs to still take her English proficiency test, and she will probably only get the results next week. Again, apply. Yeah. You can always send it up later.
Yeah.
Don't worry too much about it. What you can maybe do is just upload if you have it, upload a document saying that you will be taking the test.
Exactly. So like if they ask you, like for instance, if there is like an option where you have to upload the test and you don't have it, then you can have like a document that says like, I'm taking the test, as long as the portal will let you upload anything, but you have to put something in the requirement so they can read that you are taking the exam and that you will give the results later. And if you want, you can always inform the Student Service Center about your situation, which is ssc@wurt.nl, and yeah, wait for the 8 weeks, around 8 weeks.
Okay, yes. We also have a question. The question was re-explained a bit. So this person applied to start in September. Yeah. We want to know if you can change it to rather start in February. I'm guessing this is for master programs that has an intake on February. Yeah,
but not all the master programs have an intake in February, so you have to be aware of that. So you have to check. I think if you also type that on the Google search, you can check like what programs start in February and what programs start in September. So normally all the programs for masters start in September, but only some of them start in February. So you can change it. If you were already admitted to start in September, you can change it. You can send also to the ssc@wurt.nl an email, and you can explain that you want to defer your admission to next year, February, but then you need to ask if the program will open also during February. So just give it a check. But yes, you can actually change your date. You can also, like, if you applied and were admitted for September to 2023, you can also start September 2024 if you inform the Student Service Center. You can like keep the admission for a year. Yeah, that's about that.
I hope that answered your question.
Yes, if it was not clear, you can of course type in the chat if you have another question.
It was almost the same question from Carsten that asked, he got accepted for a bachelor's, but he still needs to do some tests before the September, and he wants to know if he can do it next year. So yes, then again, just inform the SSC that because you're...
but next year, you mean like...
Yeah, I think because he means he got accepted for this September.
Ah, okay, I see. He already got accepted for this September.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's for a bachelor's.
Okay, yeah. Inform the SSC, yeah.
And then, because then you have more time to do the test, and then you can probably... But yeah, just send an email as well, just to make sure that it will...
Yeah. I don't understand what test. Like, you mean the English test, or...? But I mean, he was already admitted, so...
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, you should just inform the Student Service Center. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Carsten was saying about because he still needs to take a chemistry and physics test.
Yeah,
so I think that was probably, then you have more time to...
Yeah. So yeah, for sure you can inform the Student Service Center, and then if you're admitted, then it should be fine. Yes.
Okay. Louise, I have another question for you, which I do not know, so hopefully you know this. How... because you can select 2 programs on StudyLink, but how do you actually do that?
Well, actually, that's a good question. I mean, I don't remember because I applied that a long time ago, but I think it just, in my mind, you just have to like create your profile on LinkedIn, or not on LinkedIn, on StudyLink, and then you just select the university, and it gives you the option to put 2 programs. Like, I know that you're allowed to apply for max 2 programs, but you don't find the option, I guess. I'm guessing like the person that is asking us probably didn't find the option. But if you didn't find the option, then maybe send also an email to ssc@wur.nl, because I finished my master's already like a while ago, so I don't remember exactly how it went. Maybe things changed. So you should ask at ssc@wur.nl. And of course, I mean, now it's a bit complicated that they're taking long in answering emails because it's a very busy period. So that's why alternatively you can write to study@wur.nl. So maybe we'll put the slide once more so you can see the email addresses that we're mentioning. So these are very important. So the Student Service Center will take longer because it's receiving a lot of applications, but then we have study@wur.nl. They can also help you answer these type of questions. Yeah. Do you have more questions?
Yes, we have one regarding translation.
Yeah.
Do a bachelor's degree documents need to be translated to English? I wanted to apply for online master's degree.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you had to do it because maybe yours was already in English?
No, mine was actually in Afrikaans.
Oh, it was in Afrikaans.
So I got mine translated, but I can't, to be honest, I don't know actually what I did, because I think I got it translated in South Africa, but I needed to do it through
an official translator.
Yeah, official translator, so it gets like a stamp, because otherwise you can change your documents.
Exactly, so you do need translations, like I don't know where you're coming from, but if your document is in, I don't know, German or Spanish or Italian or French or something, you do need to translate either to Dutch or to English. Of course, it's easier to do it to English, but you do need to have an official translation, so that means that the translator that is going to do it for you needs to be recognized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it needs to give you a stamp that it says that this person is an official translator. And then you can send your document. But it needs to be translated, it needs to be an official document. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know, sorry Claudia, maybe I missed your question. But she was asking for a master's degree, do I have to upload only bachelor's degree or also my high school diploma?
Well, only your bachelor's degree. Like, I didn't have to upload my high school diploma. Like, that differs per university, I know. But in Wageningen, you only have to upload your bachelor's diploma. I think I had to actually upload also like an abstract from my thesis, but that was a while ago, from my bachelor thesis. But I know that you just need your diploma and your transcript of records and your CV. And like I said, the motivation letter is optional, but you can also upload it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we have more questions, or?
We have a question regarding scholarships, and if I'm correct, we also had a question about housing somewhere here, but I have to look for it now again.
Yeah, or maybe
if
our
we have
viewers
time-
can type it again. Like,
Yeah.
just type it again because we still have time to answer your questions. We can go through the questions again, but about scholarships, what is the question?
Yeah, she was asking, is there any scholarships available for studying here?
Yeah, but where are you from? That is an important information detail. Like, can you please let us know where you're from?
Yeah, this is from Xenia. Yeah, is there any student scholarships or allowances? Because there are, I think there's very little for bachelors, but more for masters, so that's also a thing. And yeah, for some countries they are more available than for other countries.
Exactly, so that's why we're asking you if you can tell us from what country you're watching us, because the thing is, if you are from an EU country, there are actually less options. So there are some like support from Duo, like that this is like part of the government that is in charge of the study and everything with students in the Netherlands, and they can give you like a loan, but you actually have to show that you're working like for a lot of hours during the week. I don't know if you ever did that, but I mean you are also EU anyway, right? Because you have a Dutch passport.
I have a passport, yes.
So I think you can actually have like a loan, but then you have to show that you're working, I don't know, 50 hours a week or something like that. So that's kind of crazy because you cannot combine your studies with so many hours of work. And if you are non-EU, there are some scholarships, but the deadlines are in February or in January, so they are already gone. And there is one more scholarship that is called Holland Scholarship, but that is for non-EU students, students that are from specific countries also. So you can check that on scholarships at for masters. And it's not a full scholarship, it's €5,000 support for your expenses in general, but you have to have like a really high GPA, like being on the top 5% of your class, and send like a budget where you explain like what do you want to use this money for. But there's not so many options for EU students, unfortunately. Yeah.
She is, Zina says she's from Greece.
Yeah, so there are no scholarships for EU students, just like these loans that I was mentioning, which is not the nicest thing. I mean, there are some student jobs, of course, but you can work for few hours because the academic load is quite high. So you will be busy for a long time studying, doing a lot of group work and, you know, all the things that you're doing. But you can work for some hours, but no scholarships for EU students, unfortunately. Yeah.
Is there, I don't know, maybe she types if she looks in Greece herself for some scholarships?
Yeah,
that's another option maybe.
Yeah, so you can check, maybe there are scholarships from your own country that can work. There are little scholarships, you know, for traveling or for internships, or, I mean, depending on in what phase of your studies you are. Like here also, if you want to go abroad to do your master's of your internship, there is like this tiny grant that is an Erasmus grant that can help you for, I don't know, I think your rent and these kind of things when you go abroad to do your thesis or your internship, but not for tuition fees and these kind of things. Yeah.
No.
Do you have more questions, or did you maybe find the housing question, or do we?
Yes, there's also a question from Elias asking about huurtoeslag.
Oh yeah.
how that works here, if we have any information.
Okay, so I think, do you have that? This is also for the viewers that don't know what that means. That's like the rent allowance that you will, because it's a Dutch word. So you will, it's like a rent help from the government for your room or your apartment. But I don't know if you have any experience. I mean, I can tell you what I know, but I didn't have it, so.
Yeah, me neither, unfortunately. There's some standards that you have to meet, and honestly, I have no idea how it works, because in the beginning I thought that I would get huurtoeslag, and then when I applied, like you have to have, but I really don't have any information about this, so I don't want to say something and then not help you in the wrong direction. But like, I live in a house with quite a lot of people with one front door, so then you don't get then you don't get allowance because I don't know why you don't get allowance.
But is it also because you were you renting with Idealis and Room.nl, or were you like private housing? Because I think you can only get it for Idealis or Room.nl, like university housing.
Yeah,
that's what I think. But maybe I'm wrong. Like, I'm also maybe misleading you. You can read about that. We have a blog actually. So we actually have the International Students blog that you should visit. We have topics that cover, like, from, I don't know, where to get a bike to, like, the rent allowance. So if you just type International Students blog WUR, you can check, and if you just in the search bar of the blog put rent allowance or rent or huurtoeslag, maybe Levi can write that in the chat, then you will find it. But I think not all the rooms are eligible for this allowance. So it's the rooms that are self-contained mainly. So that's because, you know, in Wageningen there are a lot of different types of rooms. Like, you get rooms where you share, not rooms, but like place where you share like a corridor with a lot of roommates, and you have like a common kitchen, a common living room and bathroom and shower, and your room is separated. Or you have self-contained, which are like tiny studios where you have your kitchen and your bathroom and everything in one room, and then you have to pay a little bit more rent because it's a bit bigger and it's private. So for those, you are eligible to have that, but you also have to meet other requirements. So you need like the age, and I don't remember what else, but you can check that in our blog. Yes. Or the SSC. The SSC at WURtube can also help you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we also have a question about, again, if I do not have an answer about application, what do I do with accommodation?
If you don't have an answer, yeah, that is a difficult one, because I mean, you should not apply for a room before you have an answer to your application. But I think you also at some point, I don't know, did you have to upload your admission letter for Room.nl?
Yeah, you need to upload the document that you will be studying here before you are even get on the waiting list, I think.
Exactly.
Or not on the waiting list, but before you can, or available for a room or something like that.
So if you haven't received your admission letter, then it's not possible to look for a room yet. I mean, you can look for rooms in the private market, which is, for instance, like, you can look also for student housing at WUR, and then you get a website from Wageningen University. But there's also Facebook groups. Like, there is one that is called like Wageningen Student Housing, and there is another one that is called Wageningen Student Plaza. That is a very good one. Like, there you can find like rooms to rent, you can find bikes, you can find beds, pants, and clothes, books, whatever you need. So it's very nice, that group, Wageningen Student Plaza. But that is in the private market, and sometimes in the private market it's a little bit more difficult to find rooms, because they ask you to speak Dutch, or because the landlord is Dutch, so of course the communication would be easier, or they are more expensive. So I think it's better if you just wait for your admission letter. And I know it's a bit scary because the housing situation is not easy in the Netherlands and in a lot of places in Europe. But we're trying to, or I mean, not we, but the university is trying to help or work very hard to have rooms for everyone that comes and applies. But you can give it a check already, and Wageningen Student Plaza. And for Room.nl, you have to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it was also a thing for me, because then I was still waiting for my acceptance, but I needed to get a room. Yeah. So then I didn't go for Room.nl because I didn't have acceptance yet. So I went through the private market. Yeah. And then I needed to say I got a room, and then I needed to say yes on the room, but I still didn't know if I was going to study here. So
that's a difficult one. So what did you do?
I said yes, and I came here, and then but I got accepted, so it was fine.
Oh, wow,
but I remember it was like, ooh, okay, am I gonna do this? But
that's a risky one. But I mean,
it was a risky one.
you can do it, of course, but yeah, I mean, preferably wait until you have your admission letter and give it a check to the private market just to see what there is. I mean, there's a lot of students that are going to be living in, I don't know when graduation is. Do you know when graduation is? Like,
yeah, I know a lot of people leave for half a year for the exchange.
Exactly.
And then they usually leave in like September. Or
that is another thing that is important to mention. Like, if you are checking for rooms now, you will not well, now it's June, actually, you will see more offers maybe. But after the summer, or like when people are graduated and leaving Wageningen, that is around September, like Lidevij was saying, then you will see a lot more rooms. But of course, by then you already have to be here. So around this moment in June and July and August, just keep an eye for room.nl.
Yeah. Also, again, I'm promoting myself here, but I wrote a blog on the Students International blog from the Wageningen, and then I explained all the different types of housing and where you can find them, links to go and look at them. And there's also, also the different options and a bit about what you can expect from different types of places. So if you're still looking for accommodation, that might be, hopefully, that would be helpful as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for real, I mean, I'm also promoting the blog. but check, because we have, like, all of these questions that you have asked, we actually have answered them, and our blog needs to be more, widespread. so check it out. And we also have, like, tips on how to live with roommates and how to travel around in the Netherlands, how to get from the airport to Wageningen, just all of these things. So just give it a check. Do we have more questions?
Yes, we have Merit's asking about, can you do the enrollment application twice to select 2 programs? And I think that was the question also that we got about, you can, on StudyLink, you can, with one application, you can apply for 2 programs.
Yes, but like I said, like, because I don't remember, I think it's better if you ask the SSE at WURtube. But
we got a comment also from a viewer very somewhere that it was possible.
That it was possible? Yeah, I think it is possible. I mean, I know that it's possible to apply for 2 programs, but I have no idea anymore how you do it. But I mean, I know that there is the option in StudyLink or in the application portal, because the thing is, do you remember if in StudyLink you already have to put your program, or do they give you just a link for Wageningen and then there you say that you're interested in the program?
Yeah, I think it was first the program and then Wageningen University.
Yeah, so probably there where you have to put the program is in StudyLink, and then you get the portal, and then you upload all the documents.
Yeah.
I want to remind our viewers that we still have 10 more minutes, so if you have more questions, please send them in the chat box and we will try to answer them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have actually more questions.
We have questions about work. We got a question about, is it actually possible to work in the Netherlands, part-time or full-time? And is it also doable to work alongside your masters? But I think this is also applicable for your bachelor's.
Yeah, maybe you can answer that question because you have some experience with that.
Yeah. First of all, it depends where you're from. If you're from the EU, you are allowed to work in the Netherlands. However, you do have to have health insurance. You are not allowed to work in the Netherlands without a health insurance. So that is quite important to have a look at.
Yes.
And then sometimes there's also the language requirements, but that really depends on where you're going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally, I work at a restaurant in Wageningen, and they didn't have any problems. But also, yes, I can also speak Dutch. I think that also really helped. Yeah. But there's also, but sometimes if you're from not a European country, then it might be a problem because
you need a work permit.
You need a work permit, and that is a whole different ball game.
Exactly.
But some companies are really willing to take you on and go through the process of saying why, because then they need to apply. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but they need to apply through the government for you to be able to work there or something like that.
Exactly. So it's a complicated thing. Like,
yeah.
I mean, of course, it can happen, but it's more difficult. I mean, because you are not, you yourself, you cannot apply for the work permit. It's your employer that needs to apply for your work permit. So they really need to do like a lot of things, and I guess also pay some fees for applying for a student work permit. And then you're allowed to work for 16 hours a week or during the whole months of the summer. But that's only for non-EU students. And for EU students, you are allowed to work because you don't need a work permit. But how to combine the hours? Yeah, maybe Lidevij also knows a little bit, like if it's manageable. Like,
yes, it is manageable, but it really depends on your study program. Some study programs just require more contact hours, that you have to be there a lot more during the day, because then sometimes you can work during the day and then in the evening do your university work, or other way around. But especially if you're first coming to Wageningen, I won't recommend already starting to work immediately. Like in my first year I did work, but I didn't work a lot, and only in my second year I started working a lot more, because I got used to where I am and how to do things, as well as how to balance everything, and also get used to the studies as well. So because it is demanding, the study load definitely is demanding.
Exactly. It depends on you also how you organize your time.
Yes.
I mean, if you
how social you are, that's also another thing. How often you want to, I don't know, talk to family. There's quite a lot of factors that you have to think about before even starting looking for a job.
Yeah,
I would say.
Unless it's just like a few hours per week, but still, like you need to consider a lot of things. But it is possible to work, and you also should keep an eye. Like sometimes there are student job available. Like I don't know, like a student assistant for a course, or student assistants for events. Yeah, stuff like this. Do we have more questions?
Yes. To get your official diploma in Greece, you have to be present in your ceremony. Is it possible to go on with our final studies in Wageningen with only our final certificate for completing our studies?
I don't understand. Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm also maybe I'm just not understanding your question. To get your official diploma in Greece, you have to be present in your ceremony. Is it possible to go on with our studies in Wageningen with only our final certificate for completing our studies?
I guess so. Like, I mean, if you already have your final certificate, that means that you completed all of the...
official diploma, I think she means is something different.
Oh, I guess just to get like the ceremony, maybe just to get the certificate. The certificate, but if you already completed all the requirements and you already finished your program, then you probably already have everything you need to come to Wageningen. So yeah, I mean,
I think
so. If we understand
the grades
your
is the most important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Again, if you Santi, just upload everything that you have. If you don't have your grades packet, just upload, just apply, and just if you can give the form that you will take the test. But if you already get it back next week, that's also quite soon.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Oh yeah, if it's next week, yeah, that is quite soon. And just a reminder, the deadline for application is 15th of June for masters and 1st of July for bachelors, because the non-EU deadline already was 15th of April, so that was a while ago. Do we have more questions? Because we have 5 more minutes, so we can answer maybe 2 or 3 more questions.
Yes, we got another question about, does the health insurance have to be from the Netherlands or from a country?
You mean for working or for studying in Wageningen? Because I mean, if you come to study, then you can have your, I think you can have your European your European health insurance, but you can also get student insurance. And in the first days where you come to Wageningen and you enter the university and you're like doing all the first week activities, there is like a stand from AON, that is a health insurance provider for students. But if it's for work, you need a different type of student insurance. So maybe you can explain that a little bit. Like it's more like a general.
I think to be able to work, because I have a Dutch. Maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but if you're planning on staying in the Netherlands for your whole bachelor's and maybe even doing your master's, if you're coming to stay here for 3 years, it's the easiest. Again, maybe I'm saying something I'm not supposed to say, but even if you're from the EU, it might be less of a hassle for you to just switch to a Dutch healthcare provider, because then it makes things with work and study a lot easier than otherwise trying to juggle 2 health insurances, or I don't know how that works. But
and also to get reimbursed with the money if you
get
that's a lot of administration.
But maybe someone else has something better on that. But
I think the student service center. I mean, you can ask the student service center, ssc@wur.nl. But yeah, I mean the basic Dutch health insurance is more expensive than a student insurance. For that is something that you need to consider. Like, I think the student insurance might be like, I don't know, I think maybe 80 euros or something. That's the AON, or 90, I don't know. And the Dutch basic health insurance is 140, 130, something like this.
Yeah.
So you have to consider that. But for working, you do need a Dutch basic health insurance.
Yeah.
So maybe one more question or two more questions.
Yeah, I think for the last question here that I can see currently that we haven't answered was just where can we find work, and that maybe Louisa, you can also tell from your experience, but from my experience, I also started working for the university, and like I said, I work for restaurants in Wageningen, and I literally just walked to restaurants and asked if they needed someone.
Yeah.
But also keep your eye open again on their Facebook page, because a lot of times someone needs cleaning the house.
Exactly.
I don't know, dog
walking the dogs. So yeah, that's what I did also. Like I actually cleaned a house some days a week and walked dogs, and I also worked in a restaurant. Like you just really need to just keep your eyes open and ask other friends that are working. Maybe at the market there is also opportunities for working during the weekends. That's on Wednesday and on Saturday, but preferably on Saturday that you're not studying. And yeah, there are opportunities at the university sometimes, like being a student assistant for courses or for events like an open day, like webinars. Yeah. So you just have to keep an eye. But there is always like things to do in hotels also in Wageningen, or Airbnbs or B&Bs. So you have to check. But there are some options. But yeah, just keep an eye. I don't know, I think we have covered all of our questions, right? Or do you have anything else you want to cover before the wrap up?
There's a last question from Merit just asking, is the application deadline for StudyLink the 15th of June or Osiris? I don't know if she maybe means in StudyLink or Osiris, the deadline.
That's a very good question. Maybe we should go to our slide. So you have to submit it according to this information before the 15th of June in StudyLink. Because as you can see, like in the deadlines, it says that you have to submit the application before the 15th of June in StudyLink, and then you can submit your documents at the application portal, that would be Osiris, I guess, around the 1st of July or before the 1st of July. So you can maybe give a check to this slide now. But I'm pretty sure that you have to do it in StudyLink before the 15th of June. So you have a week still, like until next Thursday. So yeah, I think for now, those are all the questions, right?
Yes, those are all the questions.
Okay,
yes.
Great. So thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure to be here with you and with Lidevai answering all of these questions. And before we say goodbye, I would like to invite you all for a pre-departure webinar. And that will be on the 13th of July at 2 at the same time as this webinar. And you can register at the website of Wageningen University. And then we will be talking about what you need to prepare before coming, and how to get to the university, how will be your first week, just what you need to bring, etc. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you, Lidevai, for being here. And thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you here in Wageningen soon.